This is Fake News Friday, and today we are talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Specifically, a rumor that came out from our boy Doomcock, and then immediately reported on by like 15 garbage websites, and a couple websites that I don't think are garbage, and that said they're rumors. Here's the deal. What Doomcock said was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's role has been significantly reduced. Okay, let's break this down real quick. If you recall, wrong link. If you recall, Doomcock for the last couple months was saying what, Matt? You remember what he was saying?
Yeah, he was saying that Indiana Jones was going to die and Phoebe Waller-Bridge was going to take over as the new Indiana Jones in spirit.
Right. And just to be clear, Shane and I said that was completely false. We talked to a couple sources that some of our contemporaries also have talked to. And they said that's not happening. That's some 4chan troll nonsense. There's no way that's real. And we even made a video about it. We made a video that probably very few of you guys have seen. It's on our Prime channel. It's called, I'll put it in the description. It's about this whole situation. It's about Mangold and the theories and everything. And here's the problem with this theory, and this is why I'm calling it fake news. And you know what? And in no way am I hating the player here, but I'm gonna hate the game because this is like a checkmate for Doomcock. Doomcock can be, they're reducing her role. She's no longer gonna take the hat, and he can say all this. He can completely backflip on everything he said for three or 4 months, and it looks like they're doing it because of his statements. So now when it comes out and he was wrong in the first place, but now he's changing his story and now he's right. Are you seeing a problem with this?
I mean, CNN does it all the time.
Okay, you're right. CNN does do that. I just recently saw CNN. I just saw a CNN report where like this doctor was talking about how they mislabeled the Coof deaths for the last 2 years.
70%.
Yeah, so much, bro. And they got to get to the bottom of it. Dude, people have been saying that for 3 years straight.
Oh, you know, 70% of the people that we said died from COVID didn't actually die from COVID.
That is unbelievable. Where's your little ticker there now? Where's the death count, CNN? You guys took it off the screen. Where's the death count? Bring it back. Bring it back and change the number to 70% less than what it was before, please.
But you know why they're doing that is because they want to frame it so that they can say that when Democrats were in charge, the number of COVID deaths plummeted because of their policies.
I mean, it would look like that on paper. Like if you're looking at like just facts, like a stat sheet, it would look like when this particular party was in office, the number just plummets because they stopped reporting it. All right, so the thing about Indiana Jones, though, is I understand that other news companies do it. Maybe I hold our community to a different standard. Maybe I shouldn't.
You really shouldn't.
Maybe I shouldn't. But bottom line is, for 4 months, you complain about a movie and how this person's going to be taking over, and you get the whole fan base riled up, and there are like so many tweets and so many trending, and good on you. You got the views. You pushed it on social media. And then when it was wrong, you just say, oh, they're reshooting the movie to not include all the things I was talking about for the last 4 months. That just seems cheap to me. That's not fair. That's not allowed. Come on. It's not allowed to do that. I'll read the article to you. This is what it says. The latest rumor comes from YouTuber Overlord DVD, aka Doomcock, who states, it seems everything is shifting on Indy 5. Is it, Doomcock? And you're going to laugh your ass off when you hear this, folks, because it not only looks like Phoebe Waller-Bridge has lost her new hat, it looks like she is being cut out of the movie as much as possible. How convenient. It's so convenient to completely be able to backtrack on everything you said. The YouTuber continues, from what I've heard, and again, I'm stressing that this is just a rumor. Of course it's just a rumor. This is a highly fluid situation, as you might imagine. Disney comes Disney's come to realize that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is problematic in the part. Bounty in the comments has a typo. In the part. Lines that were meant to be funny and endearing in a sassy Princess Leia kind of way are delivered with Fleabag's patented snarkiness. She's abrasive, she's insulting Indy, and she just weighs down the movie. Now, I totally believe that, by the way. Again, I'm not saying the movie's going to be good. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I read a script. I did read a script. That was sent to me, and I can't say how. I can totally see how she wouldn't be the right fit for the role. I get that. But saying that she's gonna take over for Indy and wear his hat and the whole, it's gonna be a time travel story where all of Indiana Jones's, all of his accomplishments and adventures are all gonna be superimposed by Phoebe Waller-Bridge is ridiculous. Saying that and then saying she's insulted and Brits. Well, yeah, those are two statements. One is I can totally see as being a thing because that's her character. The latter is just complete rumor and there's nothing to actually substantiate it whatsoever.
Well, same is true of all rumors.
He later states, but the bottom line is, folks, in addition to a new ending, they are radically re-editing the film, sources say, to introduce a new element to the story. Phoebe Waller-Bridge gets kidnapped and vanishes for a large part of the film, and she has to be saved by Indy. Oh my God, it's like you've got the script that we had a month and a half ago, right? The same script that they used to make the movie. Okay. Overlord Doomcock then details, I don't know if they previously had her get kidnapped. Yes, they did. And they're just moving that part to earlier in the film, or if they're trying to do a quick reshoot to cover this. I don't have more information on that, though I hope to have more to confirm or deny this rumor in coming weeks. He does move on in one more part to this, where he says that apparently Bob Iger screened it, and Bob Iger, this is what he says exactly, verbatim. As you know, Bob Iger has returned to the scene of the crime to head up Disney. Well, he's been putting out fires that he started, by the way, just a heads up. He's been putting out fires that he started. Allegedly, over the holidays, he finally got to sit down and watch Indy 5. According to someone in the know, Bob allegedly watched the entire thing and never said a word. After the movie was done, he allegedly called Kathleen Kennedy and asked her if she was really responsible for what he had witnessed. Allegedly, after a few moments, Iger said to Kennedy, well, I'll give you two choices. Either you fix this or you can foot the bill because I won't allow this to be shown. I don't believe that for a second. That is so outrageous. There's no way that happened.
Well, there's a long track record of people saying that they have sources who overheard Bob Iger speaking with Kathleen Kennedy, and this is what they said, and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, this has been going on for years. I got blocked by Grace Randolph for calling her out on it about 2-3 years ago, something like that. I never believe anything when I hear like allegedly Bob Iger did this, because it's usually never true. You know, it's one of those things where it's like
right.
Adam Schiff gets up on Congress and reads a completely made up phone call between Trump and the Ukraine. You know, yeah. It's just like, okay, you got your perch, you got your authority, but you know, you're just spinning fiction because it makes for good headlines.
By the way, that Adam Schiff thing actually happened.
It really did. But the rumor mill, like pretty much anything when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy or Bob Iger, when I hear it, I'm just like, probably didn't happen, you know? So like, I always take those things with a big grain of salt. I will say that it's not unusual for movies to go through drastic re-edits, because sometimes they're doing different cuts of the movie based off of feedback, based off of studio notes, based off of like reshoots that they've done. Maybe they cut out a few of Phoebe Waller-Bridge's scenes because they didn't test well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that her role is being dramatically reduced. All types of things happen in post-production, and you know, that's where the movie comes together. Oftentimes people say that the movie is made in editing, simply because that's when you start seeing all the different factors come together.
Right.
So like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they remove some of Phoebe Waller-Bridge's stuff from the film, but that could be a pacing issue. That could be like them trying to hit a runtime. That could be any number of things. So I'm more inclined to believe that like, yeah, they probably cut out some of her stuff, than I am to believe that Bob Iger called up Kathleen Kennedy, who he's personal friends with, and it's just like, I'm going to make you pay for this thing if you don't fix it. Because anyone who's worked in the movie industry knows it's like, okay, rough cuts. This isn't the final film,
right?
It's gonna, like he was more likely to be like, he'd call her up and be like, hey, I have some notes. Can you do this and this and this with this movie? Like that seems more like in line with what I know of how Hollywood works. And this is the guy who shepherded, was it The Force Awakens, all of her Star Wars movies,
right.
And, all that stuff. So like, he knows how to communicate with her and tell her to do stuff that he wants. Like, he's not going to sit there and berate her. He's not going to be confrontational about it. They're friends. It'd be like me calling you up, Brian, and being like, listen, you asshole. I just watched your Indiana Jones video. Fuck you. Okay. That was the most boring. I want my hour of my life back. Okay.
You're paying me for that.
Yeah, exactly. We get the lawyers involved. Like, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. And then the fact that someone would be in that room and then report that is just.
Yeah. And also, when you're watching a movie by yourself, how often do you say words,
Yeah. Yeah. I barely say words when I'm reviewing it live. I got to remember to talk so I don't just get copyright claimed. No, yeah, I get it.
Now, if the report was like he was on his phone, playing a Tetris the entire time, then I could see it. Like if he was like, on Twitter while he was watching the movie, I'd be like, that's more believable, but him not saying a word while watching a movie, like that's pretty much 90% of the people who watch movies.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way movies are written. There was slightly more to the story, but it was just basically a recap. The proof that they had for this rumor was that John Williams said that they were like redoing.
They were filming a new ending.
Yeah, filming a new ending. And Mangold finally responded to that, and he says, John was mistaken. Maybe he read Twitter too much. We're not shooting new endings. Never did. The film is 99% finished. It's being rated by the MPAA. Now, that's on that note. If it's being rated by the MPAA, then there isn't a whole lot of drastic changes happening.
Yeah, there would be a locked copy of the film at that point.
Right. Because in order to get a rating, they have to see what people are going to see. Right?
Yeah. You have to see what the public's going to be exposed to.
Right. So if it's being rated by MPAA, it's done. Like, it's in the can. It's done.
Yeah, it's picture locked.
And that was December 19th when he said that. So assuming that he's telling the truth and not just.
I mean, I would tend to believe the director of the film in terms of like what's going on with the film more than, someone who's not in charge of it. So.
Right. Oh, you don't say, oh, but he's lying. Why? I don't understand. Like, I gotta understand the thought process. Let me know in the comment section, why would he be lying? And then also, I know you have some personal history of Mangold that's not right. But his work, right? Almost all of his work is good, right? Like, do you have a problem with anything he's done prior to Indiana Jones? I can't think of a single thing.
I mean, I think the only thing of his I've seen before this movie was Logan and Kate and Leopold. I haven't seen many of his films, and I wasn't very familiar with him back when he started attacking me. So he did
Ford versus Ferrari, Walk the Line.
Yeah, I'm familiar with his filmography. I'm just saying that like he's never made movies that have personally interested me all that much.
Yeah.
And if he hadn't attacked me, I still wouldn't know who he is.
That's
because I'd be like, well, Steven Spielberg's not directing Indiana Jones. Who do I care is directing? It's just some nobody. It's kind of like what happened with Jurassic Park 3. It's like, oh, Steven Spielberg's not involved. Who cares? So it's such a step down. No matter how good Mangold's previous works are, he's no Spielberg.
No, I get that. But Ford versus Ferrari was, and Mo Family, thank you. You're correct. That was outstanding movie.
I've heard good things.
Logan was awesome. Like, I love that movie. In fact, I almost wish, and the comic book nerd in me is like, I can't wait to see, Wolverine and Deadpool fight on screen in live action. But another part of me is like, we already saw Wolverine's ending and it was awesome. Can we just like not add to that, please? That's my opinion on Hugh Jackman coming back. Like, the kid in me wants to see it, but the film fan in me wants it to be done because I loved the ending of Logan. It was perfect, in my opinion. So I don't know. Everything he's done.
Well, there's a lot of time between, when Deadpool and him might have fought and Logan. So it could be,
I know. You're
it's
right.
not old Wolverine,
I know. Yeah, I know. And someone said Logan's in an alternate universe. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just time. I think you're right, because it's supposed to be in the future. Although watching that movie now, I watch it with my kids, which I don't know. You probably shouldn't watch that with 10-year-olds.
No, it's not a kid's movie.
So I didn't remember how gnarly it was. And when I turned it on, I was like, oh, how much is this going to ruin them? Like, should I fast forward through certain parts? Because it was so gnarly. But,
I don't think Wolverine is for kids. Like any movie he's in, like that's not a kid's movie.
Yeah, I'm watching it though, and they're like, I'm looking at it, and it feels like present day. Like I know it's supposed to be in the future, but because it was made in the past and it was supposed to reflect a realistic future, to me it just looked like present day. Like he was using an Uber app kind of thing. He was like, they're talking on cell phones, and it looked like exactly like what today looks like.
I think what wasn't it? The actor who plays Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. Like as soon as that movie was finished, he just went out and started eating hamburgers again.
Right.
He didn't have to keep that body.
He's like, I'm done. Atheist for the cause. Good luck on Son Brian on a prequel. Yeah, I don't like prequels. I just don't. It confuses me. I have I'm a small brain, and it's very hard for me to continue to do the math on the chronological order of the story I'm supposed to be watching. I know there are great books that skip around in time via chapters. I don't like those books. Even if I don't care how great they are, it really affects me in a negative way when things aren't moving in a chronological way, because parts of my brain just sort of snap off at certain moments, and I'm like, wait, when did this happen? Why is this person still alive?
Did you not like the finale of Next Generation?
No, I didn't, actually. Now, I love Next Generation. I feel like they rushed into that finale because they were like, okay, we're not going to be doing any more. So let's try to wrap it up in a really, meaningful way for the fans. Just like they did with Enterprise, which they ruined that too. And they rushed into this, and they showed us I know it's an alternate, it's a possible future or whatever, but it's got to confuse people. And how many detractors do you see now talking about Picard season 3 or whatever, 2 or 1 or whatever? And they're like, well, that didn't happen, because didn't you see the last episode of TNG? This, and this, and this, and this. Crusher is a captain of a medical ship. And those things aren't the case in these shows. Why? Because that was an alternate future, and it just gets confusing, man. That's why time travel either shouldn't be done, or there's a small percentage of people who should be able to do it, because it's never done correctly.
Time travel has to be the central mechanism of your story. Like when Terry Matalas did 12 Monkeys on the Sci-Fi Channel, that's probably the only instance I can think of where time travel was actually done right.
Yeah. No. In TV, I would say that, and maybe season 6 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But that entire...
I stopped watching by then.
Well, yeah. So the thing about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is an awesome show if you completely ignore the first 2 seasons. You have to watch them, but don't look at the quality of the first 2 seasons like it's the quality of the rest of the season, because that show, when it changed hands, when Marvel decided they no longer have nothing interesting to do with agents, and they're not going to focus on their TV division, and they completely abandoned them after Age of Ultron. When that happened, the show changed hands into people that they no longer had to fit in with Marvel, and they started making a really good sci-fi show. Yeah,
I really liked the Ghost Rider season.
That was a great season. Yeah, Robbie Reyes was awesome.
Yep.
So that, what else? When it comes to television, it's very difficult to do good time travel, because if it's not...
You have to think it through, actually.
You have to think it through from start to end, and you have to have an end. And a lot of TV shows don't want to have an end. Mm-hmm. And that makes it hard. See, movies, there's good time travel movies because movies have an end. But TV shows don't want an end. They want to have 7 seasons in a movie, right? So that means they, instead of thinking it through, they think halfway through. And time travel's got to be completely thought through, start to finish.
Yeah, if done right.
Yeah, and so the way Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did it was they dedicated an entire season with a beginning and an end to this one concept. And it worked because that one season had a beginning and an end.
Yeah, I think I stopped the season where they like went to this like planet, like outer space planet, that was like half destroyed, and I just lost interest.
Oh yeah, that was Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Quantum Leap is not. Yeah, it's time travel, but it's like, they don't really utilize like, they sort of utilize real world stuff, but it's usually bastardized, and his body's not traveling.
Well, the thing about Quantum Leap is that each episode, like when he travels to a different time period, it's self-contained, right? Like it's not like you've seen other aspects of the story and he's going back and changing things. It's
right.
Like, okay, he went back in time. There's like this isolated episode of adventure that he goes through. He changes the timeline for the better, and then he moves on to a new thing, and they're not all interconnected.
Right.
So there's nothing to mess up.
Right. There's nothing to mess up, and that's what makes it good. And yes, Travelers. Thank you, Archmage. I was going to bring that up.
Oh, Travelers good.
Yeah. Travelers is a great show. Technically, it's time travel.
Yep.
But it's like their minds are traveling back, and they only travel back that one time. And to be fair, Brad Wright had a beginning and an end. He never went to the network and said, "I want eight seasons." He said, "This is how many seasons we're going to do. This is the beginning and this is the end." It's just a long movie, and he thought it
really.
through.
I thought that they got canceled prematurely, though, didn't they?
No, it wrapped up. It was actually
really so. Was it season 3 or season 4? Like that was supposed to be the ending.
Season 3. That's the ending. Yeah, and it's very satisfying in my opinion.
I mean, it was, but it felt very rushed. I felt like they had like more story to tell, and they had to truncate it because they got canceled.
Oh, I don't think that's the case at all. I think that I've heard what. It's funny because Brad, his handle on YouTube is still Brad Travelers because he only, I'm sorry, on Twitter, because he only set up his Twitter in order to promote Travelers.
Travelers, yeah.
So everyone thinks that's like his name. But last time I saw, he always had an end in mind for Travelers, and they had an opportunity to do like a spin-off thing, and he didn't even entertain it because it wasn't going to be as good. It was just going to be a shadow of that, and he wanted to move on. So,
well, again, Travelers is another instance where like you're not seeing the effects of the time travel,
right?
Like you hear about the changes that happen in the future because when the future changes, they start impacting the past because they're sending people back there. It's one of those things where like, okay, people traveled back in time and they're changing stuff in the present, but it's not one of those things where where you have like this long running continuity that's impacted by those things.
Right. Which is what Star Trek. This is why Star Trek, whenever it does time travel, it never really does it right. It makes it worse, right?
Yeah.
Because there's like these 70 years of continuity that you have to consider, and I don't know anyone that can properly consider all that continuity and
now like with Discovery, like they're like 1,000 years in the future of the Star Trek timeline, and we're seeing like pretty much anything that happens in the past at this point, like before the events of, was it Discovery season 3 or like whatever, it just doesn't matter because you just know everything blows up at some point.
Right, and that's what makes it the worst. Knowing that everything you're watching right now
doesn't matter.
This is why somehow Discovery was really bad, all 4 seasons, and then something happened where they go, let's get this toxic show that at least half the fan base just despises. Let's get it out of our time frame, and let's move it forward. We're gonna move it so far forward that it will no longer affect, right, the canon that we're dealing with. Because there's too many problems with it.
Which was the right call.
It was the right call, except for when you got to the future, you made it worse, which makes everything that came before it somehow worse. Discovery not only ruined itself, it ruined Spock, it ruined other canon around the time that it previously existed, and then it ruined the entire timeline when it went to the future, destroyed Starfleet, destroyed dilithium, ruined races. It just ruined. This is why you can't watch Discovery. If you want to enjoy Star Trek, you have to just ignore Discovery. Pretend that it's an Elseworld story that doesn't affect any time whatsoever. Because if you think about it as affecting time, you cannot enjoy Picard. You cannot enjoy Stranger. We can't enjoy anything in Star Trek.
Yeah, and what's crazy is Discovery had the perfect get out of jail free card with the spore drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of time traveling, they could have dimension hopped.
Right.
They could have been trapped in an alternate dimension where they could have done anything they wanted with the continuity because it wasn't affecting the prime timeline, right?
Right.
And they chose not to do that.
Right. They could have easily done. There's so many ways that Discovery could have been done well, and it could have been done well and not affected canon.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this before, but that whole like sliders thing where it's like jumping to different dimensions, and you can explore the different what ifs and elseworlds that Star Trek can be.
The multiverse, yeah.
Right. You could have had so much fun with that.
Oh, it would have been amazing.
And you could have done whatever you wanted.
Like each season could have been a different dimension.
Yeah, it's like Voyager, but Voyager meets sliders. Right.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been brilliant.
Brilliant. And then no. Let's mine the past and then send them to the future and make it horrible. Like
let's grind everything people love into the ground instead.
Yeah. Just grind it up and then force feed it to them through a tube covered in feces. Ugh.
Well, now that Michelle Yeoh has been winning all these awards, it looks like her Section 33 thing is actually going to move forward.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and I think that Section 31 is not. I think it's a placeholder show. Real quick, the super chat. G-Man of G-Man, why hasn't anyone created a live-action D&D based on the 80s cartoon? Oh, because no one wants it, man. That's the problem. We want it. There is nerds that would love that. They would love like Conan the Barbarian and really cool, rad stuff like that.
No, he's talking about the Dungeons and Dragons 80s cartoon. You know, the one with like the teenagers who enter into the Dungeons and Dragons universe.
Oh yeah. What?
Like, why haven't they adapted that into a live action?
That's a great question, actually. Let's look that up because they're doing.
There's probably a rights thing with it. I know that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, like, you know, they're trying to launch a D&D universe type thing, but who knows what type of rights things were going on in the 80s.
Dude, I remember playing a video game that was based on this in like an arcade when I was like 11.
Are you sure that wasn't like Dragonlance or something like that? The knight with like the sword. He's got like the chainmail. It was like a quick time arcade game, right?
Yeah, it was.
Like,
yes.
Where like it was a cartoon. It was a Ralph Bakshi cartoon, and you had to like hit the buttons at certain times.
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. That was like a.
Okay. I remember this cartoon though too.
Oh yeah, I used to watch this on Saturday mornings. Yeah, I have the complete DVD series.
I remember being deeply attracted to the brown girl.
Oh, I like the redhead.
I was really into the caramel girls. All right.
Actually, I really like the Russian girl from Captain Planet. You remember her?
Oh yes, yeah. I also like the little. It's funny because I remember thinking, what would Captain Planet look like as a chick?
Trans Captain Planet.
Dragon Lair. That's what it was called. You're right.
Dragon Lair. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I lost so much money in the arcade on that game because like the buttons never worked right.
They never worked
and so,
right.
Like you'd constantly lose.
And you can't hit them fast enough or slow enough. Yeah. Section 31 is not. It's not that it's not going to happen or is going to happen. It's more like they have to have a certain. They don't have to, but they want to have a certain amount of Star Trek shows for the year, every year, right? They don't want Star Trek shows to be running at the same time. So let's say they need 4 or 5 shows, right? So if they don't have anything better, let's say Picard kills it out the gate and they change their tune. They're like, we want Terry to come back and do a show. Terry's not going to do Section 31. He'll do something that continues the continuity of his creation, which means that maybe they do that show. And next time they need a show, like say when Discovery's ending or whatever, Section 31 will be back on the table again. So like it's this placeholder thing that they put in there because they have a lot of the pieces already set up and ready to go. But it doesn't mean they're ever going to do it. In fact, the only reason they would do it is because everything else was going so poorly that they couldn't continue the other. They don't want to continue other shows, so they come up with.
Also, Michelle Yeoh's star power is increasing. Like she's had a great couple years. with the Witcher blood origins aside. But now that she's got so much kind of like weight in Hollywood, they're like, well, we have her locked in for the Star Trek series. Why not use her? So that's why I think it's actually going to go forward.
Yeah, I read that somewhere that her contract was up in October, but I guess I was told that you can like her contract was like, if we don't start production by this date, then she can leave her contract, right? But I guess you can keep production going and never actually do anything by just continually adding it to the docket for the following year to keep the contract stable.
Maybe.
And I don't know how it works, but I can totally see them doing that just in case, because they have this like superstar right now that they can utilize for a Star Trek show. All right, well, that's it for Fake News Friday. It really got off the rails here somehow. I don't know.
Well, evil Shane.
We started off at Indiana Jones, ended up back at Star Trek. Look at that.